Well, happy Monday, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And as the great Mike Traina joked a minute ago, so what are you going to talk about today? Gardening tips? Yeah, that tip has gotten really out of control, hasn't it, guys? Now, of course, the top story of the day, Trump bombs Iran. Iran missiles back. They fired some missiles back. The reports are pretty dismal if you're an Iranian or if you're an Ayatollah. But I think you got a great summary there in the news report. I'm going to just keep sprinkling in a little bit more detail because I have a little bit more time with you here. Welcome to the James Show, by the way. So in Qatar, Al Udeid got hit in Kuwait, Ali Sal Salim base. In Iraq, Al Assad base. In United Arab Emirates, the Al Dhafra base. And in Syria, the Al Tanf garrison. Now, do you know all of your Middle Eastern, Persian, Gulf region bases? That's okay. I don't either. But we've been looking a lot of stuff up together. And most importantly, really Trump's speech when this all went down. He came out on Saturday, gave some brief words, and then he let it cook for all of Sunday. He wasn't out there. You know who's on the Sunday shows? You know who's giving interviews? J.D. Vance. So now he's back today, and even after we've had a good 48 or so hours to digest what all's happened, starting with the U.S. bombing Iranian nuclear sites, the most important part is still what he said in those first statements right after it happened. First off, of course, he's going to say it was a success.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
So the results of this could be placed on a spectrum. Best case scenario, I think now that we had American planes dropping American ordnance on Iranian targets, I think now we're our best analog or our best hope would be for something like the Gaddafi situation, where he didn't step down, but he stopped funding terrorism after that. He wasn't running around chanting death to America. He wasn't funding other people doing terrorist things. And so the close proximity to the Iranian situation, the comparison would be maybe the Ayatollahs realized we could stay in power. We just have to stop funding Hezbollah and stop funding Hamas and stop funding the Houthi rebels and basically everyone that's in a thorn in our side in the region. They got to stop that. They're not going to be blocking the Straits of Hormuz. They're not going to be kidnapping our guy. I was just going through my Iranian archives earlier today. You remember when we had some hikers, some college students decide, hey, we're just going to hike in the mountains outside of Tehran. And the police found them, Americans, what are you doing here? They're like, we have our passports. And so they basically got taken hostage and they had to read like the hostage statement. They're like, the Iranians have been very good to us. We were wrong to illegally invade their country. We apologize. And by the good graces of the Ayatollahs. So they had to read the hostage statement. They did that with our sailors a couple times, which was really weird. So maybe they might just stop doing that. Worst case scenario, I think, is in Afghanistan, where we do end up toppling the regime, but we have to sit there and prop it up with our lives and treasure. And it wasn't like back-breaking treasure, but every family that lost a life, it was all for naught when you just give it back to the same people who you took it from in the first place. I think that's the worst case scenario. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be as good as the Gaddafi scenario, where all of a sudden, they just like a light, all hostility ceased. There's no more missiles or bombs going back and forth. And we have a guy who used to support terror, no longer supporting terror, just keeping his own little fiefdom, his little oil fiefdom, and minding his own business from there on out. I am more toward the Gaddafi side than the Afghanistan side. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Trump also in that same speech gave the reasoning behind doing the strike.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
So then the next cut I thought might be the one that you hear a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, is what might be the Trump doctrine. You know, the Theodore Roosevelt speak softly but carry a big stick. I like this Trump one of, hey, now's the time for peace or we're going to keep bombing you.
With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left.
The bombings will continue until morale improves. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we have the expertise of David Hamilton from the National Security Economic Center. And he's going to give you a little bit more detail on not just the bombing that happened on Saturday, but the response that just died down right before the James show started when there was missile attacks on up to 5, maybe 6 different U.S. sites in the Persian Gulf. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Trump bombs Iran. Iran fires back. The U.S. bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. And right before the James Show started, Iran had launched missiles at, I think, 5 military bases in the region. To give you a little more detail on that is my first guest, David Hamilton, National Security Economic Center. Welcome back, sir. And do I have my numbers correct so far? All right, so tell me, this looks a lot like, and I'm just going to go right into baseless speculation, if you don't mind, David. This looks like what happened in 2020. Trump killed Soleimani in retaliation for some other Iranian flare-up, and they did an attack that looked like they tipped this off. They're like, listen, we're going to fire some missiles at this base at some certain time. We don't want anything bad to happen, so if you could just intercept them and make the explosion look big so we can tell everyone in our media that we just won a war. That would be great. And I don't know if that's the official story, but that's certainly what it looks like happened in 2020 and then maybe today. Well, they would have to, you would think, because they can't win. And so I'm seeing that we may very well have another 2020. Now, what I would really like the outcome to look more like is Gaddafi in the 80s when he used to fund terrorism and he got the Pan Am Flight 103 or whatever bombed over Lockerbie, Scotland. A lot of people remember that. And then after we bombed the snot out of him, or Ronald Reagan bombed the snot out of him, he got to stay in power, but he kind of backed off all that death to America stuff and funding terrorism. And I think that might be a possible outcome, but just in the Iranian flavor. Ooh, that's a gross metaphor. We're talking with David Hamilton, National Security Economic Center at UNT here on the James Show. Any chance they'll block the Straits of Hormuz? I keep seeing that headline and that speculation flash, but if they tried it, they would just lose a bunch of ships. David Hamilton, what do you think about the concern over Iranian sleeper cells here in America might be activated and retaliate? Yeah, well, another scary comparison there. David, what about these people who try and make the distinction? We are at war with Iran's nukes. Trump said this over the weekend. We're at war with Iran's nukes, not Iran's people. Do you think the people of Iran get that, or is that going to calcify them into some sort of anti American stance? All right, David Hamilton, answer me this. We had the B 2 bombers that dropped the bunker busters. They took off from Missouri, flew halfway around the world, dropped the bombs, turned around, came back. Why didn't they just launch from like something closer, like Diego Garcia? Or certainly we had a base closer than Missouri. Well, real quick, David Hamilton, can you give me 30 seconds on what the fake mission was? That is hilarious. That's going to be a movie with like Matt Damon or Ryan Reynolds or something coming up. David Hamilton, National Security Economic Center at UNT. Thank you for your expertise. All right. Well, good to have him on. 800 288 9227. 800 288 9227. I'm going to tell you why I think this isn't going to escalate. This is probably going to be the last big flare up, I hope. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We're on our top story of the day. Trump bombs Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran fires back right before the James Show started. The 5 military bases that were targeted, I don't think any of them actually had an actual strike. And one of the stark contrasts between this conflict and the conflicts that you've seen your entire life. Some of you are old enough to remember Nam. You can go through the first Persian Gulf, second Persian Gulf, our little messing around in the Balkans for a while, Afghanistan, Iraq. I mean, think of how much we have been through. Black Hawk Down. What we didn't have through all those conflicts versus what we have now is memes. Memes. This is hilarious. This is comedic material for ninjas on the internet. Listen to how good this is. I don't know if did AI make this?
Throw some rocks. Tell the Ayatollah gonna put you in a box. Sam's getting pretty hot. Time to turn Iran into a parking lot. Bomb Iran.
All right. Now for the thank you very much, AI singers. For the kids in the back seat, or if you're hanging out with your dad and he's making you listen right now, you don't know. This is what we had. We're going to go back. Back in my day, we didn't have good old AI parody songs. We just had some old goofy politician who looked like a human Q-tip sing it on the spot a cappella.
An old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran. Bomb, 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 bomb. Anyway,
We were savages. We were absolute savages back in the early 2000s, drinking out of water hoses, printing out our directions on MapQuest. No iPhones. Mike in Louisville, you're on WBAP. Go.
Hey, James. So first off, that song was actually made in the 80s. That was back in the Reagan era, so it wasn't created by AI. Two, you talked about a diversionary tactic. They actually launched 9 B-2s. They all were heading west. 2 of them continued flying west as a diversionary. 7 of them did a U-turn and headed east.
Wait, where did it come from?
It came out of Whitman Air Force Base.
Where's that?
Was that in Wyoming, where the B-2s are stationed? So basically, half the fleet launched. They've got 20 of them, and they put 9 of them in the air.
But only from that one spot, because David Hamilton made it sound like we launched some other B-2s from other locations.
No, I believe they all came out of Whitman Air Force Base. We supposedly have some in Diego Garcia. I'm not sure how accurate that is. I thought they were all sitting at Whitman.
Yeah, I saw the Diego Garcia speculation myself, but dude, I have no military background. You can probably tell by me talking because you're over here saying Whitman Air Force Base like we're all supposed to know what that is. Remember, a lot of us are civilians. We don't know this stuff, Mike. So I appreciate you calling. So since you actually do know more than me, let me pick your brain a little bit. So they have to fly all the way from America in the middle of the heartland to the pretty much the other side of the planet. How many times do they have to refuel while they're up?
Probably 3 refuelings. And it was a round trip that took 36 hours.
Yeah, so 3 each way? So it's 6 total or just once?
No, 3 total.
Oh, so like at the halfway point, right before or after they drop the bomb, and then again at the halfway point?
Yes.
So where do those planes launch from? We have, like, I don't know, Germany Air Force Base or something?
So those are KC-135s that are probably doing that. We have those stationed all over the world.
All right. Well, I just remember connecting to those when I was playing Top Gun on Nintendo. So, I mean, I'm pretty much as experienced as you are at that.
Okay, that's good. I mean, if you flew a simulator, you obviously flew the airplane. So
yeah, I'm obviously making fun of myself. All right, so now tell me as a layman, what don't I know about this mission that I would think is cool?
What don't you know about it?
Right.
Well, they're up there for 36 hours. So where'd they go to the bathroom? Where did they sleep? Did they stay awake for this whole time?
Yeah, so my assumption is they slept in shifts?
Yeah, so they've got actually sleeping quarters in the B2. So they have a bed that they can actually sleep in, and they have basically a porta potty in there that they're pooping in.
Yeah, so it's like a tour bus.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, fun stuff. I find that the logistics of this just way over my head and kind of fascinating. So I appreciate your insight. Mike in Louisville. I got time for one more. Let's do Jay in Dallas. Hey, Jay in Dallas, you're next up on WBAP. Jay, go.
Yes. I've been listening to you. I respect your conversation and everything. But one thing I want everyone to understand that also they are a B-2 bomber station in Wichita, Kansas. Another thing is a lot of people forget we went to a war which actually lasted 20 years for weapons of mass destruction, which we never found. And number three is I'm hoping he is not getting us in a war that veterans has not even been compensated from Bush 1 and Bush 2 already. There's consequences for every one action. And you have to understand when you're dealing with a country that's willing to die, not just for the beliefs, but they want to die for religious purpose. And I'm hoping this is not going to lead to a ground war. Because in any military operations, if you know this from military history, if you can't defeat them in the air, you're going to defeat them on the ground. Thus, you're going to put the United States in a situation where we have to go back in on the ground again.
I think I agree with that last part. I don't. In fact, I don't know anybody who wants a ground war, hopes a ground war, or is really indifferent to a ground war stepping off. I think if it makes you feel any better, even the most war hawkish among us is not asking for ground troops. In fact, squeamish about ground troops.
Okay, but Israel has always been an ally to us, and which is understandable. But people have to understand you have veterans that was in previous wars that not getting compensated due to those.
All right, I think we got it, Jay. I'm just out of time. Okay, I got to take a break here.
Well, I just want people to understand that.
All right.
You know what I mean?
No, and I'm happy to hear from someone who thinks that they disagree, but I think we agree on pretty much 90% of what you're saying. I don't think anyone's flipping about the well-being of our veterans and they should be compensated. I don't think anyone wants a ground war, but I hear like a lot of hesitation in your voice. No, I think we're pretty much on the same page. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'll tell you what I think is coming next from Iran. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Trump bombs Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend. Iran fires back today. Pretty much all get swatted down. But will it be an off-ramp so both sides can end the hostilities and save face? Declare a victory. Because look, the Iranian mullahs would like to be able to look at their people and not have to say, yeah, we're just going to back down and not do anything about that nuclear strike. No, they're going to retaliate. They're going to say it was a wild success. We killed thousands of Americans and they learned their lesson. And then the people will be like, we don't believe you, but I guess you're still going to be in power. So I think that might be best case scenario. Do I think all the hostilities are done? No. Because what we really have to look at after this is will Iran continue to be the butthead that funds terrorism, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's ISIS in Syria, whether it's the Arab Spring and Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and Libya, whether it's the Houthi rebels in Yemen. These guys have been a problem pretty much everywhere. And if you can solve for this one variable, so many other dominoes are going to fall. And I'm not saying we're going to have world peace, but one of the big stains against world peace right now is these guys. How many conflicts are these guys funding? Are they the ultimate backstop of? Also, these are the guys that primarily ruin it when we try and run sanctions on North Korea or China or Russia because they sell them their oil. They don't care about our sanctions. So when we try to cut off Russia from after the Ukraine war, fine, they'll just get their oil from Iran. They'll get the oil from China via Iran via China. So they're just been a big pain in the butt, and really, of all of the people who are adversarial to us, they're worse than I would say even China or Russia is as far as funding terrorism and killing our soldiers and attacking Israel and all that stuff. 800-288-9227. Maybe I'm just a little too optimistic. Walter, Grand Prairie, you're on WBAP. Walter, go.
I'm doing fine. First off, I want to let you know I was in Navy during the Vietnam era, and we've had trouble with Iran for years. That song you played is by Vince Vance and the Valiants, and we should have wiped them out long ago. I'm glad Trump did what he did, and I support him 100%. I'll leave you go with those comments, and you have a good day.
So you want to know a little trivia? My parents' first date was to go see Vince Vance and the Valiants in Juarez, Mexico. That's not what you would have guessed. And then I was personal friends with Vince Vance and the Valiants when I lived in New Orleans. He listened to my radio show. I went to some of his events, and he went to some of my events. And I've actually seen him with his hair down. You're not going to believe that. I have seen him with his hair down. And he went splitsies on a recording studio up in Farmers Branch like 20 years ago. I had met him then, too. And when I saw him in New Orleans, he remembered me. Stephen Carrollton's next. Is this the Stephen Carrollton?
It is. Hello.
Oh, man. Hey, I was wanting to talk to you tomorrow when we do the weed bill getting vetoed. So you have to call back then. But your thoughts on the Iran bombing?
Well, I sent you a DM, your DMs on X, just to correct some of the information that a couple of the callers gave earlier. But Whitman, I guess first off, Whitman Air Force Base is not in Wyoming. It's in Missouri. First thing. And the second thing I heard him say was about the B-2s flying and they split off and did this and did that. Well, from what has been reported so far, what actually happened was they sent a bunch of B-2s west first. They sent them west first to Guam because that's where they were planning or saying they were planning to launch off from. But then they sent 3 more east directly into the heart of the fire, which is how they got in that 15-hour time frame and dropped the bombs and flew right back. I thought that was kind of important to hit. I know we, try to get the best information. But also they had KC-135s doing the refueling, but they also had there was another the KC-46, the Pegasus, doing the aerial refueling also. I don't know if I think this is going to be all, though. I'm almost 100% sure that we've got some more stuff to drop in Iran. I don't know if this is going to end up in World War III or not. It seemed like it was nice and fair. They were like, "Hey, we're going to bomb you back. We're just calling you to let you know." And then we're going to. That was kind of cool, but I'm worried. I really am. I'm worried. What do you think?
I mean, what is your worst case scenario? We're not going to put boots on the ground in Iran. They can't invade us, even if they wanted to. I mean, what? How bad could this get in your view?
Well, these sleeper cells are real. I mean, we know that. We already know that this isn't a, hey, by the way, we bombed them and now we see sleeper cells moving. Now, we've known the sleeper cells, the Iranian sleeper cells have been in the United States for years. As a matter of fact, there have been houses that have sold recently that the neighbors, when the real estate agent, this is personally from our personal knowledge, but the real estate agent was trying to get information about the house, was asking around, and it turns out a bunch of people, or nobody really lived in the house, but a bunch of people were seen going in and out of these places, and the security codes for the house was 0911, and there were fresh paint. I mean, there's a lot of, the point is, and this is right here in Texas. This isn't all over the place. This is right here in Texas where we are aware that these things exist. So my fear is not necessarily that they're going to, send bombs.
Well, let's talk about that.
Bombs to the bases.
Let's talk about that next. Thank you very much. This is the great Stephen Carrollton. You can find him online. Big Bad Black Conservative. Is that correct?
That's me.
There you go. All right. Let's talk about that next. Are you worried about sleeper cells? I'll tell you why. If you ask me if I'm worried about sleeper cells, my answer is kind of, but I'll explain next. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Let's go. Trump bombs Iran. Iran fires back. Still, no reports of any injuries, much less deaths. I don't even think anyone got a headache from the retaliation from Iran today. Hopefully that's the end of it. That's the super optimistic view, and I'm leaning optimistic on this. But if you're a little concerned about sleeper cells, my answer is I can't totally brush that off. You know, we have seen sleeper cells happen. We've seen it not just in the United States, but in many other countries, like the Bataclan attack and the stuff that happens in German Christmas markets and for some weird pattern. No, it happens. And so is that a concern? Yeah, a little bit. Is it something that's going to keep me from going to the grocery store or the local shopping center? Don't be ridiculous. But can I completely dismiss it? Absolutely not. I do have the recognition that if you're concerned about sleeper cells, sure as hell hope you aren't one of the people that was wanting an open border, okay with an open border for the last 4 years or whenever D has been in power. Sure hope you're not part of the crowd that wants to disarm American citizens. Yeah, there's sleeper cells everywhere. Now turn in your guns. Nah, doesn't make any sense. Oh, there's sleeper cells everywhere. Let's keep an open border. That doesn't make any sense. Other than that, I can't you would be naive to dismiss it 100%. So how much do I dismiss it? Not even 90%. I think I'm about 70% dismissal. Like I don't know, I give it a 1 out of 3 chance that there's a sleeper cell that's going to do something about this. This is Jim in Comanche. You're on WBAP.
Hi, I keep up to date quite a bit on aviation. They only built about 15 B-2s, and they've lost a couple to accidents. In situations like this, with a full load at maximum range, they usually take off with a light load of fuel, and once they reach cruising altitude, they're top off the tanks. I would think they probably refueled 3 or 4 times each way for that extra safety margin in case there's anything unforeseen, like having to divert or something. They've got plenty of fuel to do whatever they have to do.
Are you a veteran?
I was in the Army and the Navy.
Yeah. Look, I'm interested in details. I don't want to be dismissive of you guys, but I also don't want the show to turn into some internecine argument between different veterans, and I'm just the proxy for it.
Okay.
No, I appreciate your call. This is funny to me because you don't have anything to say to me. You're responding to other callers who are responding to other callers, and you guys are. I don't know. I watch veterans do this in real life where they get onto each other for getting something wrong. Like it's the C-28. No, it's the C-27, and I don't even know what any of these numbers are. So it's kind of amusing to listen to from the outside perspective, the layman, non-trained perspective. That's all.
Okay, well, it's just kind of surprising to a lot of people. There's only about 12 or 15 B-2s.
Hey, I didn't know that.
So much, a lot of people think there was a lot more of them.
No, and that's why I like to hear from you guys, because I don't know this stuff. And there's a lot of people out there with no military background. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know if we had 100 of them, 1,000 of them, 6 of them. I didn't know. So you added a little to the show.
And 2 of them have been sitting in Diego Garcia for a while, probably as a diversion, because everybody thought that was a logical base to operate from because of its distance from Iran. But I guess that was never the intention.
Yeah, go look up that base on Google Maps, people. That's got to be like one of the worst places to get stationed. That's where you get stationed if you tick off your boss, because you are just in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do. They don't have skee ball, nothing. I don't even think they have like a Best Buy. Richard, Collinsville, you're on WBAP.
Well, James, thought I'd put in my 2 cents worth. And can you hear me all right?
I can. You sound great, Richard.
Good. What Trump did was conduct what used to be called a punitive expedition. If you listen to the Marine hymn, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, both of those incidents were punitive expeditions designed to go in and destroy a specific kind of target and then leave. And we've done this a number of times over the years, but here in the modern age, they no longer seem to like the old terms like punitive expedition. what gave Trump the legal authority to conduct this punitive expedition was the fact that it was a threat to our national security. And so he could act without declaring war, because he would have to go to Congress to declare war. And you don't need to declare war for a punitive expedition. So he has gone in and destroyed the object that needed to be destroyed. Now, it's up to the Iranian people. If they don't want to be free, they're going to stay in their homes. And here's the second part of the problem. Where is the Republican Guard? Nobody's seen them. I've got a suspicion that they have integrated Republican Guard squad-level units in residential areas all over Tehran, all over the country. So the residents know that there are Republican Guards armed within their midst. So if they decide to hit the street and demonstrate, these Republican Guard units can arm up and go out and take care of them. That's my take on what I think is preventing the Iranian people from hitting the streets and demonstrating and changing the regime. I also believe that it's a mistake to let Khomeini live. He needs to die. And those who predict, oh, that could cause World War III, no, it's not going to cause World War III. It will just get rid of the head of the Republican Guard, which is a religious, fanatical group. And they put a lot of weight on what that old man says. And that old man's not going to surrender. I don't believe he will surrender. And that's my take on it.
That's a fantastic take, Richard. I appreciate you sharing with us. That's Richard in Collinsville. Coming up next, Shaheen Gabati. He's a nuclear engineer, but more importantly, member of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Next on The James Show. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Trump bombs Iran, Iran fires back. Some people already losing their mind. A couple viral videos. Gonna spell that out for you. First off, here's one of our neighbors who I think slightly disagrees with the decision to bomb Iran.
Dear MAGA, you are traitors to our country, and your golden god is a treasonous pig. And you will pay for the crimes you have committed against our country.
Easy.
I can reassure you of that. Now, I'm not going to be the one that's doing this. I'm not going to. The courts, the world are going to hold you accountable because you see, you are terrorists. And what you have done here by supporting this man and this illegal act of war in Iran, it's going to have massive consequences. But I know that I'm on the right side of history, and I know that there are millions more of us that are on the right side of history. And just like those filthy Nazis, you will be wiped. And I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for the marshals to come in and arrest all of them. And they will. They stole this election. They did it with Elon's help. And they will take all of his money, all of it. It's going to be the greatest thing to ever happen in America. And it will be because of President Trump. And it'll be great. He'll make America great again by sacrificing his existence in a federal prison for the treason he's committed against our country.
Excuse me, sir. This is a Wendy's. Calm down, Braden. How long have you been hearing that this guy's going to go to jail? How many times have you been told that this guy is going to go? You've been told this about once every 2 weeks for the last 10 years. In the James Show history, in the first 18 months that Donald Trump had been president, the great people at Grabien made a montage that really only covered the first 2 years because, about 6 months or so before the election happened and then the 18 months in his first election. This was from the first 18 months of Donald Trump's first term. So we're talking about, 2018? We had this much material. This is what they were telling you in 2018, and they've told you every year since that he's about to go to prison.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency. Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
It reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The wall's closing in.
The wall's closing in.
Breaking overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
This is unbelievable. This is remarkable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
His presidency is crippled.
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
We begin with the bombshell.
The beginning of the end?
The beginning of the end.
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 In fact, if this were a football game, we're in the third quarter. May even be the beginning of the end.
We begin tonight with the bombshell.
Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
I do not think the president will serve out his term.
Resignation.
I don't think this president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term.
He will not serve out his term.
No way, no how.
Breaking news, absolute bombshell.
I think Donald Trump is in trouble.
Donald Trump is not. He's done. And it's over. It's over.
The wall's closing in.
The wall's closing in.
This is going to be the Achilles heel.
Breaking news tonight, I expect Trump to depart. This week will be the watershed week. Trump is in big trouble.
Trump's in a lot of trouble.
It's a sign of a terrified old man who feels the
walls
closing in.
The walls
are increasingly
Closing in on him.
Tonight, the walls
are closing in.
today changed everything. This is the beginning
of the end.
today, the biggest
Tipping point for the Trump administration. What a historic day. The bombshells, they fell.
It's entropy and it's crumbling internally.
me. He's underwater. He feels
The walls closing in. Could his testimony be a turning point?
we may be at a tipping point.
It's the beginning of
The end.
The beginning.
of the end.
Another bombshell.
Bombshell. Bombshell. Bombshell. Bombshell.
Bombshell.
Bombshell.
Bombshell. This is a bombshell.
It is a bombshell.
I am beginning to resent the word bombshell.
Here it is. You've already gotten what, 9 years of this, 10 years of this, and they're still saying it. Well, after this Iranian thing, well, he's going to end up in jail. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. How long can y'all say that before you're like, oh, maybe the people who are telling me this may not be correct in their predictions? You've been told every couple of weeks for 10 straight years this guy's going to jail. Why do they still say it? Do they still really believe it? It's a bombshell. Beginning of the end. Remember, that came out in the summer of 2018. So that montage made up of older clips itself, 7 years old. So I do not think he's going to go to jail. No, I do not think the walls are closing in. But I don't just play that to make fun of your political opponents. This is very good information in deciphering what is about to happen. So when you see articles of impeachment that are going to get filed any day now over these strikes and this Iran situation, you'll say, yeah, I'm not surprised. In fact, that's entirely predictable, kind of expected. Yawn, move on. You don't have to get all excited and exercise. Text your son 9:45 at night. Hey, what do you think's going to happen with Iran? Nothing. We just blew up their nuclear facilities. What do you think, they're going to invade? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I don't play these montages. I just want to say that again. I don't play these montages just to make fun of them. I just want to set the context for when they say what they're inevitably going to say. This is illegal. This is unconstitutional. He's going to end up in prison. Someone's going to bring up charges. Walls are closing in, beginning of the end. You've heard all this 1,000 times. Then you know who the hacks are. Because you have people that have, in the last 48 hours, all of a sudden concerned about the constitutionality of dropping bombs on someone without Congress's specific approval. Did any of these people say this when Obama dropped 26,171 bombs? Now, I'm not saying what Trump did is unconstitutional. I'm not saying what Obama did is constitutional. I'm just saying, for the same people, do you have any consistency? And if not, then what's the difference? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, is Iran done with their response? Is Iran done with their response? I think they might be. 800-288-9227. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Donald Trump has responded on Truth Social and Twitter. His official message from about 30 minutes or so ago is Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected and have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and one was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter, like this is some kind of memo at work. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. That's from the man himself about 30 minutes ago. Well, I am watching the live feeds over here on Fox News. They have a live picture, Cutter. Oh, nope. Now they switched to the old picture of the missiles getting shot down right before the James Show started. So this is now video that's just like 2 or so hours old, maybe 3 tops. But it seems like it's quieting down here. And allow me to continue my optimism. This really might be the worst of it past us. Does the United States do another bombing run? What on earth could the predicate be for this one? See, that's why I think a lot of people think they chose the excuse for their, oh, we're just getting rid of their nuclear facility. Not we want regime change. Not we want them to stop funding Hezbollah and Hamas. I mean, they want these things, but they don't go out and say it. So if they just use the pretense of, yeah, this is an attack on the Iranian people, this is an attack on their nuclear facilities only. Now you can stop the bombing. You don't have to escalate. You don't have to do anything else. And you get to withdraw and save face. He put himself in a very shallow position to extract himself. And I mean that in a good way. Should Iran just kind of give their little, here's 14 missiles we launched at you. It doesn't make sense that they would give him a heads up. I don't know why he would lie about that, but that just seems kind of weird. Be that as it may, they fired some missiles. No one got hurt. What's Iran's pretext for continuing this? If the U.S. doesn't stop again, bomb again, do they stop? Let's hope so. You want to hear where it gets weird? If you go through your social media feed today, you might find someone passing around this old clip from Hillary. This is back in 2008, which, let me set the context for younger people. George W. Bush is still in power, and there's an election where she's trying to get through the primary past Barack Obama and John Edwards. And listen to how hawkish Hillary Clinton is in 2008 on Iran.
And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
And what was suspicious at the time is just a couple years later, there's some more Iran hullabaloo going on, and you have one of the guys that's the figurehead on the other side. You just heard from a Team Blue elite member. What about John Bolton, who was previously Secretary of State? No, he was something under George W. Bush, but he's been trying to bomb Iran for 20, 30 years. This is him in 2010.
Well, Israel's got a problem because once the fuel rods are inserted into the reactor, an attack on the reactor would almost certainly release radiation into the atmosphere, given where Bushehr is located, right on the Persian Gulf, possibly into the water as well. So from Israel's point of view, if they were going to do anything militarily about Bushehr, they've only got a few days until the fuel rods are inserted. Their problem is, of course, they've got the rest of Iran's nuclear weapons program, the uranium enrichment facilities and so on, to worry about too. And I don't think Israel has the luxury to attack in the next few days, wait a few months and attack again. So that's why I think if this goes forward, and it certainly looks like it's going to, it's a major, major plus for the Iranian weapons program.
Now, I can't really explain directly why that bothers me, but I think you can feel it too, that our spidey sense goes off, both me and you, when you hear the old guard establishment elites from both parties. And I don't mean little r Republicans and little r Democrats. I mean capital R Republicans, people who got their check from being in an administration. They both have been trying to bomb Iran for over 15 years now, 20 years now. Doesn't that make you a little suspicious? Whenever the old school moneyed incumbents in both sides of the aisle agree on something that you're not quite sure about, doesn't that make you doubly suspicious? Like, isn't it curious that every time we have one of these little budget deals or a budget shutdown or a debt ceiling, whatever compromise that has to be made, one side agrees to raise spending on social programs, the other side agrees to raise spending on defense and things like that. And whatever it is, they both agree to always spend more money, to always grow government. There's never the cut. It never gets smaller. You never spend less. Y'all just everyone's okay with it. Well, this is what we got to do to save it. Y'all both agree that we have to spend more money. Aren't you suspicious of that? I kind of have the same feeling here because there's a lot of people out there who right now are praising Trump. They're like, yes, I like this little surgical strike and hopefully this will bring peace. But they don't want peace. They need their other forever war. They liked having Afghanistan. It was a money pit where trillions of dollars were sucked away from the taxpayers and given to cronies. Then we had Ukraine, but if that's about to shut down and Trump's getting out of it anyway, can we find the next great excuse to take about, I don't know, $200 billion a year and funnel it through some money laundering program we call a international conflict? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Of course, I could be a little paranoid, but let's see what you say. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Let me tell you another secret of Blue Ribbon Roofing that will get you to their website faster than you otherwise would. Not only are they good at putting a roof on, but they're good at getting you the money you deserve from your insurance company, because that's the other part of it. Not only do you get a good roof that's not going to be made with shoddy material or second run factory defects, your warranty is going to be on it. It's going to be put on by the right people, by a crew who's been working with them for years. The other half of that equation in getting a roof is dealing with your insurance company so many times you think that you are out of options with your insurance company. You're just going to have to take what they give you. You have no way to fight back. Well, then they know how to do it at Blue Ribbon Roofing. They've been doing it for 31 years. And it starts with the number that you call to try and get your insurance to cover your roof is not the same number that John Hopkins is going to call. He knows someone else to call to not go to the part of the company whose sole job it is to get you off the phone for as little money as possible. I'm not saying I know how to do this trick. I'm just saying he knows, because that's what he's been doing for the last 31 years, and I want him to do it for you. You call, you get the free roof inspection. If your roof's okay, then you're good to go. If not, you're worried about paying for it, they help you with that. Go to blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Top story of the day, it's kind of a twofer here. Trump bombs Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend. Iran fires back right before the James Show started today. And the numbers have been kind of fluid, as they normally are when something is this new of a story. But in Donald Trump's post on social media just about 45 minutes ago, he said that 14 missiles were fired at American military installations in the region. 13 were shot down. One of them was off target and headed in a harmless direction, so they just let it go. So after this, what's next? I don't know. I guess best case scenario is nothing, but people sure do seem to be inflamed right now. Even if there's nothing else militarily that's going to happen. Is there going to be sleeper cell reactions? Is there going to be not even sleeper cell? It could just be some independent guy. What comes to mind is the Pulse nightclub shooting. Remember in Orlando, there was the Pulse nightclub shooting that happened. It was during Obama because the guy's modus operandi, or his reason for doing it, he even said himself, and we have the text messages between him and his girlfriend the night of the shooting. He was upset about Barack Obama bombing some Syrians. And he was kind of on their side because he was a Muslimist. And so he just independently got a gun, got a whole bunch of ammo, went to the Pulse nightclub. Actually, he went to Disney Springs first, saw a whole bunch of armed guards there and said, I'm going to go to some place that doesn't have decent security and shoot that place up. But there could just be one-off guys like that. So I'm really hesitant to say we're done with this. But militarily, I think there's a good case to be made for optimism. 800-288-9227. This is Bill in Grand Prairie. You're on WBAP. Bill, go.
James, I'm not even somebody that would normally call into a radio show. I listen to your show every afternoon on my drive home. I think everybody should have their own opinion. It's America. That's what's great about it. But what's blowing me away, and this is, we wouldn't even be in this situation if Obama didn't drop off with nearly $1 trillion on the runway in Iran in the middle of the night and funded all of this since then. Secondarily, I'm listening to 94.5, one radio station over on accident, and it's D.L. Hughley saying that they can't believe what a liar, how administration is. I mean, have they not been around for the last 5 to 8 years at all?
So what are they're complaining that he's lying about what?
That every single thing that he's promised in the campaign, that every time he opens his mouth, that this administration is lying. So the only thing he's opened his mouth about is, I'm going to work on immigration, doing the heck out of that right now. In my opinion, the guy might be a little bit of a pompous ass, but he does what he said he's going to do, and that I can appreciate. But
well, look, what you're hearing on other outlets, it's just an intellectual shortcut to not actually have to debate their point of their worldview based on the merits of its own argument. So that's why they call you a Nazi, so they don't have to debate you anymore. And it makes sense from their point of view, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to like the people listening to us more so, Bill. But that's something you recognize when they call you a Hitler, when they call you a Nazi. It's so they don't have to have the argument anymore. So they don't have to explain their positions. They can just dismiss you. And rightfully so, because, if Hitler really was reincarnated and put in front of us today, we wouldn't be debating his Social Security tables or whatever.
No, I get, but for the other side to say the ignorance is frightening. First of all, where does a semi-comedian at best, now he's a political expert, which is a joke in itself.
Well, hang on. I go softer on him because, Bill, comedians often have great political opinions. They have made a living being observant and finding the nuance and, the little intricacies or what do you call it? Yeah. Idiosyncrasies is the word I was trying to sound smart by saying. And I think he's a pretty damn good comedian. It's
true.
Listen, so
normally it's funny because it's true. That's what's so funny about it. Well, what's funny about this is you have this guy saying that I can't believe how bad this administration lies every time they open their mouth. This coming from the folks that elected these last two groups of people that basically ran our country into the ground. And you want to talk about lie, cover the whole thing about Biden's cognitive, blah. I mean, I could go over 1,000 things, but I know other people want to call. But I mean, it is just, it is comical.
The lie part is comical because 1 year ago today, that guy was still probably on board with Joe Biden being the presidential nominee. We're almost to the 1 year anniversary of the debate that changed the world. He was still sharp as a tack 1 year ago. Sharp as a tack, Bill.
That's not a lie. That's not a lie.
That's
for
not
sure.
a lie at all. All right, thank you very much.
James, nothing to it, buddy. You guys be good. Listen to 94.5 when you get a chance.
Never.
Idiocracy I'm talking about.
No, leave it here for the rest of your life. Do not ever turn the channel. Don't even go to our sister stations. I mean, maybe accidentally, but no. You either go to 820 AM or 93.3 FM WBAP. I've got 4 kids. They're gonna have to go to college. I need you to help. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I was going to play next some more reaction to the Trump bombing over the weekend, but it's going to be far more unhinged than what Bill described from Grand Prairie. I'm James Parker. It's Newstalk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and in the top story of the day, man, how much has changed just since the James Show started? So Trump bombs Iran over the weekend. Iran fires back right before the show starts. And now that we've had a good 2 hours to digest the results of that attack, I've got a lot of good news for you. Now, let's look at the price of oil. Come on with me now, because for the day, it dropped, and it dropped drastically. If you look at what it just did today, that is such not a fair assessment in the least. You do not get a good picture because, look, the raw number is it dropped 9% today. But you got to put that in context. So what you have to do is not look at where it started today versus where it ended today. The bombings happened over the weekend. So you have to look at where it actually closed on Friday and see what happened there. Because between the close of the market, the last trade that was made on Friday, June 20th, was at $73.84. Over the weekend, I mean, they have the after hours trading, but the official number is stagnant until it opens on Monday. So today, the first trade this morning was made at $77.84. So you see that? It went up exactly $4 over the weekend. So that first $4 that it dropped just gets it back to where it was on Friday. The results of just the attack by Donald Trump had actually resolved themselves by about the time you were eating lunch today. The Iranian response happened after that, between when you ate lunch and the James Show started. And there was a little spike up when we got the news. It spiked, and then it returned pretty quickly, like within an hour, to where it was. And then as we started getting reports about the lack of any damage or casualties or significant strikes whatsoever, that's when oil plummeted for the last couple hours of trading today. And so then it went from being around 73.84, about where it closed on Friday, to close down at 67.36. So the big loss that happened in the last couple hours of trading, that's where the story is. That's where you see, oh my goodness, the people that are sort of the economic masters of the universe think not only is this not going to be a problem, this is going to be a better scenario going forward. Because right now, the price of oil is below where it was all last week. You understand the oil market people, the people that have billions of dollars into this, have chilled out and thought, okay, that last little run up that we've had, we've been having a run up for, let's see, what's today? For about 2 weeks there. That's all been given back, and we're back to the same homeostasis before this latest flare-up. So when you hear me be optimistic, I feel like that position is bolstered by what you see today. Now, stocks seem to be okay with it too, but they're being pulled in 1,000 different directions. So I'm not saying that doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't mean nearly as much as oil, because 20% of the world's oil every day goes through that little Straits of Hormuz, and this tells me they don't even think that's going to be blocked. Now, I don't think it's going to be blocked either, because any rational person would say if they try and block it, our Navy will just knock their boats and just sink them within hours. You're not going to be able to block the Straits of Hormuz if you want. And it's just going to cost you a whole bunch of money and lives and embarrassment on the public stage. But we haven't really been dealing with a rational actor. So the people that have to go say, are they going to be rational? Are they going to be irrational? This points toward calm, peace, rationality, and something more rational, more peaceful, more fluid, no pun intended, when it comes to the oil industry than what we had for the last couple of weeks. And if this continues going into tomorrow, this is people seeing long-term, not now, but 3 to 6 months from now, peace. A year from now, peace. That's what's so important about this oil number, more so than the stock number. Hey, it's great. Your stock market, it had a great day too. The Dow Jones was up almost a whole %. S&P was up 1%. And when you look at those, that's your IRA, that's your 401k. Your retirement's back on track. When I look at my S&P chart here, We're up for the year. Do you know that? We are up. We are almost back to the all-time highs. So for all of the S&P's history, all of stock history, except for this tiny little window from February to the beginning of March, we've never been higher than we are right now. Where's those headlines? Stock market about to bust all-time highs. Stock market turns positive for the year. Because you got a lot of headlines when it dropped after April 2nd on Liberation Day. You got a lot of headlines about how the market was bleeding and this is ruining people's retirements and this is breaking those on fixed incomes and you're setting people back and destroying families and whatnot. Where's the reporting on the upside? I'll give it to you. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, my guest Richard Stern from Heritage Foundation. We'll talk a little bit more about how this will affect the economy, not just the price of oil, not just your stocks in general, but now that this conflict between Israel, Iran, and now us is sort of reaching a point where it's got to take its breath. Is he as optimistic about the economy as me? Find out on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. One big concern about this Iran war, how does this affect me? Well, it could affect you economically. So far, judging by today, it's affecting you pretty positively economically, but my next guest is going to give us a little more detail on that. Richard Stern from the Heritage Foundation, America's #1 conservative think tank based out of Washington, D.C. Welcome to the show, Richard Stern. So, price of oil dropped like a rock at the very end of the session. I guess they think the Straits of Hormuz aren't going to be blocked. 3 to 6 months from now, things are still going to be pretty tranquil. Does this feel like the beginning of the end, Richard? Well, stocks seem to like it too. We've now gone positive for the year. That seems like that doesn't seem like a whole lot of uncertainty in the stock market as well. All right, we're talking with Richard Stern from Heritage Foundation on the James Show. It seems kind of odd that China seems to be halfway on our side in this issue. They don't want oil trade to be disrupted or to spike. They don't want the Straits of Hormuz to be blocked either. So, we're kind of halfway teammates. Well, they'll let their own boats through. I imagine it'd be more of a blockade than just total blocking the Straits of Hormuz to every traffic. Ah, that would stop everybody. Right. Yeah, I hear you on that one. We're talking with Richard Stern from Heritage Foundation. I don't even think they could Straits of Hormuz if they wanted to, whether they did it with mines or whatnot. But I've even thought, what if they just sit on the Iranian shore and have missiles or rockets shooting at the ships? Well, we could bomb that in a matter of days and have that neutralized. So, I mean, what options do they have left, Richard? All right. Well, I appreciate the insights there on the economic impact of this Israel, Iran, USA love triangle, to use the term very loosely. This has been Richard Stern of the Heritage Foundation. Thank you, sir. Okay, coming up next, we got to play Dead or Alive. 2 tickets to see Kansas are on the line. Coming to the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory on July 20th. Special guests, 38 Special and Dave Mason. For the rest of us, we have to go get tickets at livenation.com. But if you want to try and win a pair from the James Show, go ahead and call in right now. It's Dead or Alive, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. James, I'm a new listener. I'd like to go see Kansas, but I don't know what Dead or Alive is. Super easy. Today's category is Timothy. I'm going to give you 10 people named Timothy. You have to tell me if they're dead or alive. Now, most of them are like celebrities or politicians or whatnot, but it really is that easy. It's like a 50-50 shot on all of them. So go ahead and call in right now for 2 tickets to see Kansas, July 20th, 800-288-9227. Dead or Alive next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now to my buddy Bob Lavelle. And this is the guy you call when you need to get into a house. I was thinking about inflation, Bob. And if you buy a house, you have 25% inflation like we have in the last 5 years. That house is worth $500,000 and you didn't even do anything but exist. And so if you sell that, you walk away with that money. And so what a great way, especially in a high inflation environment, to build wealth, Bob.
You know, that's why we're hearing all these stories about the clients that we've had from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago that are having us sell their houses, and they're walking away with $400,000 or $500,000 in net profit. You know, you can't do that in the bank when they're paying 3% or 2.5%. You know, and the house is stupid. And you know, when you think about it, I mean, the house doesn't know you didn't pay cash. And in a bad market, let's say it goes up 10-12%, you're still going to make a whole lot more money than you are on the bank, unless you're, you know, a risk taker and you like the stock market. You know.
Can't argue with that. So get started. You don't just need to get out of the rent race and start building wealth for yourself. You're crazy if you don't, especially in a high inflation environment. 972-392-9595. Call 972-392-9595. Bob Lavelle has the classic website, blessyourheart.com, or you can call him at 972-392-9595. Thanks again, Bob. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. You're listening to News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. You are just in time for today's edition of Dead or Alive. Today we're playing for 2 tickets to see Kansas coming to the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory July 20th. Special guest 38 Special and Dave Mason. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com, but I got to give away a pair to someone who's playing right now on Dead or Alive. Thank you very much, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to today's edition of Dead or Alive. Today's category is Timothy, something to that effect. I'm going to give you 10 Tims. You have to tell me if they're dead or alive. Who's first? Kelly? Well, I already said it, so I have to go there now. Thanks, Garrett. This is Kelly in Fort Worth. You ready for Dead or Alive?
Yes.
All right, here we go. The Tim edition, starting with Tim Allen. Toolman Tim Allen, dead or alive?
Alive.
He is alive. Timothy Chalamet, dead or alive?
Dead.
No, dude, he's in like his 20s. Thank you, though. Check that out. See, I did the opposite. I didn't pick someone really old and you're like, I don't know if they're dead or alive. I picked someone really young and you're like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who I know you know. Gary, Dallas, you ready for Dead or Alive?
I'm ready.
All right. Tim Curry, dead or alive?
Alive.
He is alive. The great movie director Tim Burton, dead or alive?
Alive.
Country singer Tim McGraw, dead or alive?
Alive.
Timothy McVeigh, dead or alive?
Dead.
He is dead. Trying to catch you off guard and didn't slip Gary up for a second. Basketball great Tim Hardaway. Not Tim Hardaway Jr., who's playing now, but his dad, Tim Hardaway, who went to UTEP. Dead or alive?
Alive.
He is alive. One of the great wide receivers in football history, Tim Brown. Dead or alive?
Dead.
No, he's alive. I had to check that before the show. I know. It's a good guess, though. You did great. Even tried to slip him up with Timothy McVeigh, but he was all over it. This is Charlie in Dallas. You ready for Dead or Alive?
I'm ready.
We have one of the former James Bond actors, Timothy Dalton, dead or alive?
Alive.
He is alive. And finally, for 2 tickets to see Kansas, football legend Tim Tebow, dead or alive?
He is alive.
Yeah, he's only like 40. Well done, Charlie in Dallas. All right, are you available? You want these tickets to see Kansas Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory July 20th?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Oh, good. I'm glad they went to a true fan. I appreciate that. So I'm going to put you on hold, Charlie. Garrett will get your information, and we'll email you the tickets. This has been today's Timothy edition of Dead or Alive. Thank you to all my wonderful contestants, and thank you to you for playing along at work or home or car or wherever you're at right now. Let's have some fun with people who, look, if people are going to have Trump derangement syndrome anyway, it's okay for us to enjoy it. It's okay for us to see these people and laugh. Now, for the other people who listen to this show, I know about 20% of you are kind of lean toward Team Blue, and I'm not doing this to insult you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who are fringy on Team Blue. And there's some fringy Team Red people who put up cringe video stuff too. Send me some. I'll play them sometime if it's funny. But in this one, I was really enjoying over the weekend people just turning on their phone and videoing and sharing their mental meltdowns for all the world to see. This is a weird sort of performative art. And a lot of it is performative. Like the same people that go out and hold a sign in the street. What are you doing? Are you waving a sign that's going to change the world, or that's going to change any laws or policies or anything? No, it's just performance. Makes them feel better about themselves, makes other people see them being a good person. It's a big fat virtue signal. But the even lazier version of that requires almost no effort is this thing where you just video yourself screaming in the phone, and then you put it on TikTok for all the world to see that you're one of the good people. A mom was upset about that. No one's talking about the draft. No one's talking about boots on the ground. But she's going to scream about it anyway.
If you caused
one of my kids to get drafted, regardless of whether or not they come back to me alive and in one piece, I will no longer be no contact with you. I will be full physical sports contact with you.
Whoa.
Boxing, Mike Tyson pulling your ear off, contact with you. Do you understand me? So if you have voted for Trump and you know me and they announce the draft, you better turn around in Walmart if you see me. Don't try to say hi. Don't try to pretend we're friends. You better forget you know who the I am. You better forget my name. If you cost me my child because PTSD, I will become your worst enemy. You better forget you know me. And you better turn tail and run if you see me.
God, I wish I knew her, because you know what that make me want to do? It would make me want to be nice to her so hard. Just so, like if I saw her in Walmart, I'd be, Crystal! Oh my God, so good to see you. Oh, please. Dude, you look great. Oh, look at your kids. They look great. They're getting so big. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy. It's been too long. We should hang out sometime. This will be great. Just be so just like over the top nice to them. I can't, you can't even talk to someone in Walmart if they didn't vote the same as you. I had a friend tell me her ex-girlfriend is no longer talking to her dad because her dad voted for Trump. People, life has a whole lot of real significant obstacles that are just putting in front of your face all day, every day, that we all have to battle through. Putting a roof over our head, putting food on the table, keeping up with healthcare and insurance and the price of gas and a career and a family. And you don't have to invent reasons to be upset. You don't have to invent obstacles to overcome. No one's going to draft your kid. 800-288-9227. More butthurt coming up on the James Show. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. You know, I had collected some of these people freaking out over the weekend about Trump bombing the Iranian nuclear facilities. And they're so worked up that you can tell they're noticeably, they're visibly angry. Their parasympathetic nervous system has been activated. They got a little adrenaline going. They got some dopamine. I don't know if they got going, probably some cortisol too. But they get themselves so worked up. Here we are, a couple days later, maybe even just like a day later. And after seeing the sort of flaccid response by Iran, the markets, both the oil markets and stock markets, think that cooler heads are going to prevail. And not only are we not running into World War III or boots on the ground or things getting so bad that we have to reestablish the draft, which no one's talking about. Things are going in the opposite direction. Like they are even more wrong now than when I recorded this. And it was crazy town over the weekend. It's even more unhinged now, seeing as how might not be something we even talk about in a week. Here's another guy, just a little upset about Trump bombing. But listen to how many things he gets wrong here. Do your own little fact check in your head when he says, you know, we're the terrorists. We are. Not the people we're bombing who actually support terrorism, who fund Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthi rebels and the ISIS and all this. We're the terrorists. It's an interesting take these people have.
Dear MAGA, you are traitors to our country, and your golden god is a treasonous pig, and you will pay for the crimes you have committed against our country. I can reassure you of that.
Wait. All MAGA is going to pay for their crimes? And you can assure us. What happens when no one goes to jail? Because we have been hearing this for 10 years, how Trump's about to go to jail any day now. What happens? What's the statute of limitations on that belief? After like 5 years, will you reevaluate your position and be like, maybe I was wrong about that?
Now, I'm not going to be the one that's doing this. I'm not going to. The courts, the world are going to hold you accountable because you see, you are terrorists. And what you have done here by supporting this man and this illegal act of war in Iran.
Okay, so the obvious juxtaposition here is what I said right before the statement. Oh, we're the terrorists, not the people we bomb, not Iran. Who's more of a terrorist? The person who bombs the terrorists, the people who are the number one state sponsor of terrorism in the world? They sponsor Hamas and Hezbollah, the Houthi rebels, ISIS. They're on the wrong side of the Arab Spring. They sell oil at a discount to any nation that we're trying to sanction. No, not the people funding the terrorists, the people that are bombing the people funding. They're supposed to be the terrorists. How does he get it this backwards? It's an emotional argument. That's how. He's been whittled and refined, and his little blade has been sharpened to hate Trump so bad that he's willing to believe this.
It's going to have massive consequences. But I know that I'm on the right side of history. And I know that there are millions more of us that are on the right side of history. And just like those filthy Nazis, you will be wiped. And I can't wait for it.
Hey, I think we get bonus points for getting called Nazi. That's kind of like a sort of declare victory. You know you're in the right there because you're bad. Why? Because you're Nazis. All right, I can't take you serious. Let's just hear you get mad for about 30 more seconds. This is great.
I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for the marshals to come in and arrest all of them, and they will. They stole this election. They did it with Elon's help, and they will take all of his money, all of it. It's going to be the greatest thing to ever happen in America. And it will be because of President Trump. And it'll be great. He'll make America great again by sacrificing his existence in a federal prison for the treason he's committed against our country.
And this is such a weird time to be alive because this guy's saying just crazy things. They're going to take all of Elon's money. They're going to take all of his money. What level of envy and jealousy are you at? Why do you care if they take his money or not? Why does it bother you that he has money? Oh, that's right. You were told that he's a Nazi. Did you want Elon's money to be taken from him before he was a Trump supporter? Or was he a decent guy then? Was he evil then? No, just when he politically disagrees with you, he magically turns into an evil person. Sounds like you're taking an intellectual shortcut there, bud. And putting Trump in prison and taking all Elon's money. God, it's almost orgasmic, poor guy. That's going to be the greatest thing to happen in America? Really? That's a bold statement. Not the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, not the siege at Yorktown, not ending slavery, not women's suffrage, not putting a man on the moon, but taking all Elon's money. You people need to calm down. You realize how much these people have just been trained and brainwashed constantly to just absolutely hate. He's going based on hate. Is this a loving position that he has? Is this a Christ-like position that he has? Is this anything other than hate? You can hear it in his voice. It's almost like he's acting. It's almost like he's in a Saturday Night Live skit. It's like, hey, do a demon voice. And he's like, we're just going to take all his money.
With Elon's help, and they will take all of his money. All of it.
Oh, calm down. Aiden, Braden, Jaden, Caden, whatever your millennial mom named you. Calm down. This thing's almost over. You'll have a new thing to get upset about. Just like you had to get a Ukrainian flag and then you had to trade it in for your Palestinian flag. And then a couple months ago, you had to trade it in for your Mexican flag. Now you got to trade that one in for your Iranian flag. Anything but an American flag. I get it. But there'll be a new thing for you to get upset at tomorrow. But I think you might be wrong on this one. I don't think he's going to end up in jail. I don't think they're going to take all of Elon's money. I don't think there's going to be a draft. I don't think there's going to be World War III. The economy loves it. Oil loves it. Stock market loves it. Some of you people just need to calm down. And I don't know why I saw this about 4 different times on my social media feed over the weekend. But just like we like to go back in time and see what Hillary Clinton said in 2008 or Obama said or McCain said or whatever, someone keeps passing around this scene from Ronald Reagan. And the first time I saw it, I didn't know he was in a movie. And he gets up and he slaps a pretty lady in the face. Caught me off guard.
Get back to the hotel and stay there.
I like it here.
Go on, get moving.
I said, I like it here.
Well, I can change that in a hurry.
Ronald Reagan just open hand slapped a pretty lady in the face. It's amazing. See, I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, and you do. That's why we're happier than you. And I'm not talking to you, guy listening. I mean the audio I was just playing of the other guy. All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show. If you need more James Show action before 2 o'clock tomorrow, you go check out the podcast, WBAP.com, the WBAP app. Stick around. Mark Levin, the great one, is coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.